Okay, on to video 4. I know I was going to show you guys material options. We've looked at it, in the last few videos, and it's really with getting into 3D layers and playing with material options is just, again, playing around and seeing, you know, what you want. Again, looking at what, uh, properties you have, how to transform them, and so on. So we're going to go ahead into video 4 and talk about blend modes and working with your layers and blending layers together. So, with blending modes for layers, they really control how your layers blend together or interact with each other. And really it's going to be looking at the colors and how they transfer kind of back and forth. So the blending modes, you might have formerly kind of referred to as layer modes or transfer modes, but really if you've used Photoshop and other things, even Premiere Pro I think has it, but allowing these layers to kind of blend together and modify each other. So again, most blending modes will modify only color values, not the alpha channel, but they will have a few. So what we're going to look at is, kind of with these two layers, I'm going to kind of show you with this. And again, one thing to remember is you cannot directly animate blending modes by using keyframes. So again, once you add a mode or a blend, uh, it is set on that layer unless you split the layer, somewhere in the timeline and apply a new blending mode. That's one way. So, but looking at this, we're going to kind of go through the blending modes, describe, in each sections and how they're broken down because they're subdivided into 8 categories based on, similar features between the results of the blending modes and the categories. I will put a list up for you guys and we'll kind of look at this. But the first thing I'm going to do is notice that the mode, so we're actually going to start kind of moving around in here and not just listen to me talk, but the modes are going to be right here now. Depending on, if you, sometimes if you don't see it, you can always go to here, right click on this uh, layer, and you'll be able to find, where it is. So I've got modes right there, so if I deselect it, I can reselect it. And also you might have a switch down here that says toggle switches and modes. If you do so, it'll bring that option up. So we're going to look at playing around with these and all the options. So I'm going to open one just to show you how many, again, blending modes there are. So you have these different sections, and this first section, really with the normal section, you're going to have a dissolve, normal, but we're going to get into these, what they call the subtractive section, which really make things darker. Then we have the additive section, and these kind of make things lighter. Then we have our complex section, our difference. They call this the difference section. And then we have with our color, our HSL section, so hue, saturation, color, and then our mattes, which again this is dealing with alphas, which we'll kind of deal more with when we get into track matte in our next video, or track effects. But with this, so I've said enough. I'm going to show you. I'm actually going to select this layer. I'm going to select this layer, and we're going to go ahead and if I were to do something like, let's just look at maybe overlay. Okay, what it's doing is overlaying on this. And so, I might go, what, I want like a soft light. Let's see what works on this. If I did, difference, knowing that I'm going to be taking out and excluding that so I can see the difference behind that, or maybe even, if I do exclusions, going to be pretty similar. So again, each section you have to figure out, what it is that I want to do. So knowing that I'm adding it to this layer below it, so it's affecting the layers below, and however I choose to, if I want to play with the opacity, depending on how much I want to add, I can do so. Let me come back to here. So knowing that, the add worked, if I maybe darken it, I can tell this darken section, if I want to, do something along there, see kind of what plays around. Interesting how some things, the dissolve probably won't do anything, but let's go to, to hue, maybe if I play around, but I'm going to actually switch up the layers. So I'm going to put this back to normal. I'm going to flip the layers. So now we notice that obviously the red is the dominant layer, it's the one on top. So if I come in here and try something like darken, okay, pretty similar to what it was doing before when the other one was on top, but we will get a few different, you will get a few different effects. So like now the overlay with this complex part. Before, it would just go straight to the red, but now it's going to blend in with that lower layer. So if I did something like soft light maybe, it kind of plays around with this. Maybe if I wanted to do hue, if I notice in the hue, we've got this green background, and now I'm playing really with primarily just the colors. So with the hue, or maybe if I do saturation, and again, we can play around with these, and again, blends are really, really help if you want to kind of help a style. So if you're doing a music video or something like that, or want to give it an effect, I will use it for the department videos every now and then if I will put something over top. So with this, I might do, I'll do kind of an ad. You know, you probably can already see this. They do this. Obviously, ignore the background because, you know, with this interview, it's not very collegiate style. This is more film style. But if you could imagine the university in the background and having this red overlay, this would be something where I'd put titles over or some kind of, you know, graphic that I want people to pay attention to, but yet still see the background. So again, kind of helps create that separation. So that's really what's going to be good with doing, you know, for blend modes. And I put something together just kind of fun, but you know, you can add different layers. So with this, on this one, I have the red, kind of what I was doing before. I think exactly the same. No, I actually did the hue. So it'll be, the hue will be adding to, I'm going to just kind of show you real fast without this front. So I had this where I just wanted to make that background red instead of green. So maybe, you know, whoever was doing the color with filming this, since they made it green, you know, I didn't like it. Maybe I wanted to make it, since it's supposed to be a scary film, a little more, you know, terrifying, so to say. But what you can do along with that is, you know, I added text. So I've got this text that's going over top. I have this white that's multiplying on top of this, and then I have a soft light for the static text, so it's kind of seen. So as it goes across the screen, we kind of get this nice soft text, but it still adds, you know, maybe it's too distracting, but still fun things you can play around with. So those are blend modes in a nutshell that you can kind of see how you can add just more animation and dimensions to whatever video that you're working with. So that's blend modes, and we'll go into matte tracks and track mats, all that with this row in the next video.